me. 3, 2, 1.
PC エンジン512色スーパービジュアル6チャンネルリアルサウンドニューワールドを制覇する PC エンジン全開 NEC から。
Here we go, guys. East, or YS as I used to call it, but it is actually called East. Book 1 and 2. So basically you get East 1 and 2 on one disc. This game is fantastic. I like adventure games and played a fair amount of them, but this is by far still my favourite adventure game. It looks a bit crappy. The way that you attack enemies is a bit strange and weird compared to other games. But I've probably finished this game about 18, 19 times. And usually every now and then I'll go through it, I'll play through all of it again. It's got some fantastic intros. It's got some, the East games especially, have got some, Falcon did some amazing RPGs and their music is amazing, it's top notch. So this did come out in the US as well, so you got a nice English version. The intro was cool as well. East, the ideal utopia. Once a country, as you'll see in a second. The voiceovers in this game as well were voiced over by, I think they were American TV actors. So the voice work in this game is pretty amazing as well. It's nothing like some of the other games they ported over to the US, and they've got some of the most cheesiest voices going. But this game has got really top class voice acting. I remember buying this back in the day when it first came out and I couldn't stop playing it. Weird for an adventure game for me as well. It's not something normally adventure games that don't end up going back through them. But I don't know what it is about this game. It's weird. It just ended up. I've played this game so many times. So let's start this up. So this is a very old game which I think came out on the NEC PC 98 originally. So as I said, it doesn't look anything amazing. Same as the third one, which I finished not long ago actually. Got really terrible scrolling and it's quite short, but I actually really enjoyed it. Once you get your head around the really bad scrolling, it's not bad. I'm really looking to pick up the number 8 on the PS4. I'm just waiting for. I should have picked it Christmas time when I had a chance. So I'm waiting for another sale because it usually goes on sale for 16 quid, and I'm going to buy it. It's really good, that is. I've managed to finish. I've done East Book 1 and 2, I've done the third one, I've almost finished the fourth one, or did I finish it? I got pretty far in it. I've never really played the fifth one. The PSP ones I haven't got around to. There was one on the PC, which I really loved and played that, and I need to play 7 as well. They sort of are not really that continuing sort of story, to be honest. But they usually revolve around Adol, who's the main character in these games. Just want you to go on a mission first, but you've got to pick up some weapons first. Like I say, another game with a pretty fantastic soundtrack. So we get a short sword. Like that. So can we buy chainmail? Yeah, buy chainmail. How much is a shield? 700. So I need a hog for a shield. She won't talk to me unless you're fully powered. You get a full armor set. say there's loads of things that carried over to some of the other games in this, some of the characters and that, and the bar and everything. First time I ever played this game was on the Master System. And I loved it on the Master System, and then I had the TurboGrafx version of it. This is what I'll show you about how you kill enemies. Basically, each enemy, you've got to walk into them. You can't actually press a button to slash. You've got to walk in them, and the idea is you walk in them on a slight, not directly right in front of them, on a slight angle. If you walk in on a slight angle, or bump them like that, which at first you think, it's pretty shit, isn't it? You think, oh, that's terrible the way they do that. You get used to it, and it does actually work. There's oh, and he got killed there. There's lots of tactics. So you've got to walk, you've got to bump into these enemies on a like slightly off sort of center. If you do that, they save you again hit, as I just got hit. Got to watch you die fast in this game as well. Once you start getting powered up, it makes it a lot easier. And there is places in this game where you need to hog up levels, and you can stay and you can hog up really easy. So basically, the first thing you have to do in this game is hog around for a while to get enough for a sword. Like I said, graphically wise, this game is pretty. It's not the best, but it makes up for it in music, story, and the actual game itself. See if I can get to the next town, which I shouldn't actually go to at the moment because I'm probably going to get killed really badly. So this is the first other town you come across. So when you first play this game, it doesn't actually seem that big, because you've got this open area over here, you've got a mine to go into, and then you've got Dam Tower. There's a giant tower you need to get to, but the tower's massive and it takes a lot to get through the tower, and you need a lot of items and everything as well. So it'll take you a fair amount to finish it. And then the second game's even bigger, and there's a lot more to the second game. So it is a proper old computer game, basically, this. Ooh. You can only stop to get energy back when you're on the actual field. When you're in dungeons, it doesn't actually work. So you can't actually get in the tower yet. This is Dam Tower, basically. This tower's quite big, there's a lot to it. The only problem is there's secrets you need to get and items you need to get access to this tower. Like I say, it's an adventure game, I can't show you everything, because, well, we'll be here for like, probably like, what, 16, 17 hours. But, like I said, this probably is one of my favourite games on the PC Engine. It's up there close to number one, I would say. Because, I don't know, it's weird being an adventure game. The amount of times I've actually played through this game, and as much as I'm playing it now, I actually want to play through it again. Right, mate. But anyway, that's East Book 1 and 2. Fantastic adventure game. It is going up in price these days, unfortunately. You can get the Japanese version for about 20 quid, but there's not much point because it's in Japanese. But the American version is going up. I do need to get myself a copy of this. I used to have it back in the day. I bought it, but I don't actually have a copy of this anymore. And I do need to find myself a decent price version. I do love this game so much. But anyway, let's go on to the next game. Oh, next one's a fun one. Is Legend of the Hero Toma. But then, what can I say? IREM made some fantastic games. Made R-Type, made this, made Ninja Spirits. So I was tempted to put in this list, to be honest. Same as R-Type and Vigilante and various other arcade games. And then split up, went on to do other things. One of them turned out to be NASCAR. They turned out to made the Metal Slug games. And stuff like that as well. So it's pretty cool when you look it up. But IREM were top notch back in the day and made some fantastic games. First played this in the arcade and really loved it. The arcade is a little bit nicer looking than the PC Engine version, but this PC Engine version is practically exactly the same as the arcade. I really love this game. It's really good fun to play. It's a bit short, it can be done really fast. But it is a little fun arcade game. You got like a, I don't know, it's like this little Superboy who fires out of his fingers, and he can jump, and if you hold up, he can float. The idea is to get through all the game and kill the big evil boss at the end. Coins don't actually do anything, they are literally just like in the arcades, they are literally just points. IREM, they obviously couldn't do the music of the arcade. The arcade's got really nice music for IREM, but they use the PC Engine sound chip, and these music tracks do actually sound like the arcade ones, even though obviously they're not quite as good as the arcade ones. For the jumping vampires, as in Japanese folklore. Ooh. Lots of different weapons you can power up. Like, I'm pretty powered up now, so the homing weapon is well handy. Got to get keys to get through this level. Right then, first boss time. Way to kill him is basically to get up on these platforms. Wait for him to come across, and then up and jump. Sometimes you can get hit. You don't want to get hit by the sword, because that'll kill you pretty fast. Ooh, that was close. Come on, die. That's it, it's dead. Young man, you better go back here. Do you think that you can return alive? Once you go into this island, you may regret it. Can't remember what he said just after that. So I don't know if you're ever lucky enough to play the arcade. They used to have it around by me, but so it's not something you see around these days, to be truthfully honest. I don't know what happened to all the boards of this, but they probably all disappeared or they're in collectors. I think a lot of IREM's games were very collectible. Oops, shouldn't have done that. Should have kept my shield really, shouldn't I? Oh well. That was going to make it awkward. There is ways of getting through this these levels really fast by bouncing on the heads of the enemies. And you can bounce right up to the top of the level. It's me saying the game's easy and I could die straight away. Can one credit this game? It's not too difficult once you learn it. You know what's going on. You know the route of the levels. You can pretty much play this game pretty fast, especially if you're willing to get powered up and bounce through the levels. So the first one, you wanna go this way. There's a power up over here, which is handy to have. Gives you the bombs, which is very useful on this boss. Gives me more bombs. Trick is now I can't remember which side this boss actually comes out of. I think he comes out of that side first. I say there is a way of killing these bosses fast as well. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that. Bit. You regret it later, that's what he said. Unfortunately, this is another game that's rather expensive these days. A lot of the good PC Engine games are like that. They're very expensive. I'm pretty sure this came out in the US as well. Probably the US one's probably really expensive. Yeah, but say I always love this game. I always find it really good fun to play. It's one of the IREM games that doesn't sort of get that much of a mention these days. Well, the NES as well actually, but it's the NES version's not quite the same. Oh, I'm in trouble, mate. Gotta watch, they roll out like a spike thing that kills you. It's the key to get through the door. Right, probably going to curse myself now and say this boss is actually really easy. Which it is, if you got the right firings, you can literally just stand by here and kill it. As long as you're powered up and you get used, sort it. Oh, dead. But anyway, guys, that's Legend of the Hero Toma by Irem. Always a fun game I've loved for a long time. So, we'll move on to the next one now. Next one's going to be Lords of Thunder. Fantastic. See you in a moment. Right then, guys, here we go. This is Lords of Thunder. This is pretty much made by Red, who did Gates of Thunder, and they did the PC Kit games, or the Bonk games if you're American. This is my pretty much a favourite shoot 'em up on the PC Engine. The PC Engine's got loads of shoot 'em ups, but I really love this game. It's got fantastic rock music. It did come out on the Mega CD as well, which isn't quite as nice as the PC Engine one, but they did remix all the music on the Mega CD, which sounds fantastic. But I think I do prefer the slightly more gritty sounding, sort of 80s shred sounding sort of music on the PC Engine version, even though the Mega CD one's great. I did actually make myself a CD with the Mega CD music once as well, so that's I've got that, which is quite nice. The reason I'm playing Lords of Thunder, not Winds of Thunder, which is the original Japanese release of this, I say this is the American version. There is one bit where he talks, which is in English. That's pretty much all you ever need to know. The shops, you don't need anything. I pretty much prefer this version simply for the fact I think the name is cooler. I think Lords of Thunder sounds way better than Winds of Thunder. So I do like the American version. So I did have two of these not long ago, the Japanese and the American one, but I've kept the American one and sold the Japanese one because I prefer the name. I say this one, the music has been enhanced a little bit, so it's been the volume's put up on it. Some of the PC Engine games tend to have low volume on music. There's 4 weapon systems in this. You've got the earth armor, water armor, wind armor, and fire armor. Fire armor is pretty crap. The wind and the water are probably the best otherwise, but by far the best armor in this game is the earth armor. In this as well, you got the energy, so basically you can buy stuff which ends up giving you energy back. You can buy bombs, you get free bombs, you can get power-ups as well. So you see at the bar on the top right, the top bar there is your power-up basically. And you can buy shields, and you can buy a continue, also you can buy an elixir, so it means when the energy gets right down to the bottom, it'll refill back up. Say this is a fantasy shooter with a guy flying around with a sword, so if you get close to enemies he will use his sword like that. Sword is not massively powerful, but it's pretty good. By far these bombs on the earth armor are ridiculously powerful. The Mega CD version, I did do a video comparing both of them, is easier. Not as nice looking, colours are not as good. It's easier, and they did sort of fix some of the other weapons. They made some of the other weapons actually viable as well. I only end up using some of the other weapons, maybe one stage, sometimes I swap, just because it's a bit easier with the other weapon. See, the diamonds you're picking up are pretty much money for the shop. The other icon which is for there is pretty much your power up. So the more you power up, the more powerful your sub-weapon gets, so those bombs are going to start getting ridiculous. Ah, damn, that was an actual power up, that one as well for there, so. Where's the power up? That's the power up, John, normally. That's it. You can get energy back, as you've seen over there, you get an energy up. Only certain levels you actually get them. So I know I've said this on quite a few of these games now, but music in this game kicks ass. If you like rock music, it's pretty fantastic. Same as Gates of Thunder actually. Gates of Thunder's got some pretty amazing music as well. I think Red, who did quite a few games on the PC Engine, they were a quality company. I'm not sure if they, I don't really know what happened to them, to be honest. I'm not sure if they get integrated into Hudson Soft eventually. As you may notice now, I've got bombs top and bottom, and when they hit, they expand out. These things are devastating for some of the bosses. Missed the energy up there. Like, if you can stay this powered up in this game, these bombs, they really kick ass. You want to collect as many of these crystals as possible, basically, to get money for the shop. Bosses have got a certain area you can actually hit them on. There's one boss is a bit of a pain to it, but they're not too bad. If you put this game on hard, mind, this game's quite tricky on hard. The bosses are solid. If you get these bombs very close to the bosses, you can ruin them with this bomb. It's a bit awkward on this guy. Basically, if I stay close enough, you got to hit him in that little spot for there. The bombs will wreck him. Much better than the sword. So basically, you get once you've at the start, you got to choose your levels. You get to choose your levels, and then the middle level is the last one. So we'll go to. I think I will go to that level. I do tend to play them in order, don't I? I'll show you one of the other weapons. Let's do the wind armor. In here now, I've gained money. So basically, if you look at my bar at the bottom, I can do basically, I can power myself up full, and I can life max myself now. And I've still got money left over. So basically, you could buy a shield if I wanted to, but you want to save up and get the elixirs. Always handy to have at least one of them. So I'm just going to buy a shield just for the hell of it. It's a good weapon, but not as good as the bombs. This is handy though, because you can kill a lot of things on screen at once. Oops. I get hit twice. This level reminds me of Thunder Force 3. There's a bit, I'll show you the bit I mean. So I'll show you the Thunder Force bit and then we'll swap to another game. Otherwise I'll end up trying to play football again. This is the bit that reminds me of Thunder Force. Once you kill this little boss for you, you'll know what I mean. I'm trying to sword it to death if I can. Dead. This is the bit that reminds me of Thunder Force. The one underwater section. In fact, Gates of Thunder is very much like a Thunder Force game. There is a hack of Gates of Thunder called Gates of Thunder Force, which puts Thunder Force music actually on Gates of Thunder, which is a pretty nice little hack. Anyway guys, that's Lords of Thunder, pretty much my favourite shoot 'em up on the PC Engine. So we'll swap to another game. Oh, and you can land on the throne run as well, which is quite cool. Right, see you in a mo. Oh, this time we're going to swap to Magical Chase, another swap. Right guys, Magical Chase. This is another horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up on the PC Engine. A cute 'em up this is really, with a little witch that flies around. This is the American version, which I prefer the American version for two reasons. One, it is a slightly updated version of the Japanese one. and the shop icons are in English. I have one life pretty much all versions of this, American and Japanese on even on the hardest level. But I prefer the American version. I would love a copy of this game, but the prices on it are ridiculous. I think the American version at this moment would probably cost me well over £1,000 if I wanted to buy it, and the Japanese version ain't that far behind it either. Real expensive game. I say back in the day, I pretty much ignored this game. I wasn't really into cute 'em ups at the time, I don't think, and I sort of played it and thought, nah, this is not actually that good. Or I wouldn't say it's not actually that good. It just wasn't. It wasn't my bag at the time. As I've just dropped something on the floor a second, guys. Let me just put it back. Yeah. So it wasn't really my bag at the time. But you know, years later, I played this game, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's a really fun shoot 'em up. And you've got to play it on the bumpy or the rough, basically. If you play on breeze, you don't get the entire game. Rough, it can be pretty rough. So basically, you got these little orbs to fly around, these little stars, and you got that. But what you can do is you can hold down a button. You can lock the stars in place. You can lock them like this, which then they end up working like a shield, which is quite useful. And you can change your direction on the firing on the stars and lock that in place as well. So you can basically have them firing like that if you want to, which is quite handy. Which comes in quite useful, especially for the last boss. These little diamonds you collect are actually points, basically, and well, not points. They're it says points, but pretty much they're money for the shop. So you basically want to collect as much as these things as possible to get weapons in the shop. There is a couple of weapons, well, not weapons. They're more like power-ups that pretty much you need to get. Without them, you're pretty much knackered. So you need to work them out when you get them. First off, you can have freeway or fast firing. So we'll go for the freeway, which is always useful. Basically, they're little hearts you can get extra. If you double tap the button, it uses a heart and gives you a little bit of energy back. This game does have energy. That's like a smart bomb type thing. That will heal you completely. But you've got to buy extra hearts for it. So if I buy this heart, puts a heart down there. So that you see the other heart, which is life at the bottom. That will actually heal you completely if your energy's down. And this one will increase your life energy by 1. And then obviously the speed up, which I never use, to be honest. On hard, on the normal level, the star things at the front will block a lot of bullets, and will block some of the boss bullets and stuff as well. On hard, they pretty much block almost nothing. So the enemies fire a lot more, and pretty much you can't block anything. So it does make playing hard quite difficult, to be honest. There is an item in the shop apparently which you can use to actually, like a power-up item for the stars. I think that actually blocks the bullets that are on the hard mode. I haven't really done that, to be honest. What I did, I found a way of actually finishing this game and managing the energy. When it comes to the bosses, I found the best way to kill the bosses is pretty much to tank the damage on them, get really close to them, tank the damage and fire really fast on them. That seems to work. It ain't easy to finish on hard, mind. It's quite tricky. It's mainly that bosses. The bosses are difficult. You got to learn basically it's the best way to tank the damage off them. I say it's a lovely little game. This is. I don't know why I ignored it so much back in, when it first came out. You can also get an elixir on you, which is how pretty much when all your energy gets to the bottom, it'll refill it again. But we're not going to bother. Always handy to have in reserve when you're playing this game. Comes especially useful on the hard level. same thing here, so you can get close to stuff, you can wipe it out a lot faster. It's obviously a little bit harder to block stuff. Oh, I forgot, you've got to trail him to where you want him to go. Forgot about that. So it's another game I find really fun, and I play quite often. I got the other 5, he might have been dead by now. I say he's dead. That's the first level. Really good fun. So this is where you got to keep collecting those diamonds because you will need them later on. You say there's a couple of weapons you have to buy. They're pretty much what they actually does. It powers up your stars, the star maidens or whatever they call them at the front. And if you don't do that and power them up, it's going to be really difficult to beat the game. You really need to power them up. On the Japanese version, obviously it's not that clear what they actually do. So you will need to learn sort of which ones you need to pick up. This is where the American version comes in handy, and the fact that, like I said, it is slightly different to the Japanese version. It's more like a remix, not a remix, more like a sort of they've tidied it up and made it a slightly better game, I would say. I'm not saying the Japanese one's bad, mate. The Japanese one's pretty fantastic. Ding, 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 ding. Shop. Now if you click on that, goes in 2 directions. It's affordable. The next power up is the one you actually need. So I'll just pick this up anyway, just for the hell of it. Same with the NG, you basically heal yourself up. Quite useful, this weapon, because it fires really fast. So it's good being on normal, so you can actually block all his firing, but on hard can't block any of this. He's dead. I'll get to the shop and show you the first power up you need to buy on this, which I'm pretty sure you get on this level. You can't die if you crash into things either. Yeah, the company who made this, I can't remember, I think it was Powercom or something. I'm not sure what else they actually made, to be honest. Like, maybe this was a one-off, you know? Great little game. It's a shame that it's so expensive these days. I think it was released near the end of the life, and I don't think there was that many of them. I think that's why this game is really expensive. So especially on US, it's really, really expensive. It's the same because not a lot of people ended up playing it then, Cracker. See, that's the first one you need. Basically, it adds power to the Star Maiden bullets. So that's the first upgrade you need to get. If you don't get this, you're in trouble, basically. I should try and finish this game, actually, without actually getting the upgrade to the firing. Actually, I might do that. I might actually see if I can finish this game without getting the actual upgrades, and see if it is actually possible. But, so here's the first boss, and I'm going to get really close to him. Probably is possible to finish it, it's just be a lot harder. could just dodge him, really. The sort of tactic you use if you're playing on hard is basically tank some of the damage off him. But anyway, guys, that's Magical Chase. Really cool cute 'em up. There's a couple of cute 'em ups on the PC Engine, but I really love this one. It's a really fun game. If you've never played it, check it on an emulator. But like I said, don't buy it because it's crazy price. Anyway, on to our last game now, which is Splatterhouse. The classic Splatterhouse by Namco. Classic arcade game with lots of blood and gore, and it was pretty mad looking for its time. Got converted to the PC Engine. There was no way the PC Engine was going to do the arcade one. The arcade one's a really nice looking game for its time. But the PC Engine one plays exactly the same as the arcade. It's got the same enemies in the same places. You can get really good at the PC Engine version. You can finish the arcade one, basically. So, and this is not the American version with the silly red mask. He is supposed to look like Jason Voorhees. He's not supposed to have a red mask. And so, and some of the things they took out of it as well. They censored some of the upside down cross and things like that, which look a bit weird on the American version. Always loved this on the PC Engine. I really love the arcade version as well. And I always had a copy of this on the PC Engine. It's getting a little bit pricey these days. I do have an unboxed copy of this thing, but I wouldn't mind a box copy of it, to be honest. They say this plays exactly like the arcade one. You can do the slides and everything like you could in the arcade. So it's pretty much the same game. This obviously doesn't look quite as good. Can get past that, but I'm going to wait. Can speedrun this game as well by sliding a lot. You can just go past them if you want, like. The classic haunted house. Oh, the haunted house is the next level, sorry. I take it all back. Two places you can stay in here. You can stay in the middle or you can stay on the left hand side of the screen. I'll show you what I mean now. You can basically stay here. Always used to stay in the middle on the arcade one. If you time the jump right, you can basically punch this as it comes out of there. That's the first boss, basically, which is the room. Let's do a replay of this at some point. They did a couple of versions of this game. Say it was the original arcade one, and it only ever got released on two things, I believe, which is this and the FM Towns. Then they did Splatterhouse 2 on Mega Drive, which is pretty good as well. Not bad. Not as good as the original one though. There's a Splatterhouse 3, which is a completely different game. Really, it's more like a scrolling beat 'em up. And there's Splatterhouse on the 360 as well, which is a completely different game. But I still think the original game is by far the best one. I say this game is cool because you can learn it as well. It's a shame it didn't have some of the voices of the arcade as well. Because on the arcade, when it hit these, they go like "ooh" type voice like. And some of the bosses as well are cool, especially your girlfriend, who pretty much you're trying to fight. You're Rick, by the way, not the guy from Friday the 13th. But you are trying to find your girlfriend, and you do find her in this. She turns into a mutated monster, and it's cool in here. You've got the help me thing, she says. But on the arcade, there's a really cool. When she morphs into the monster, it sounds really good. Plain terrible. We get to the haunted house, which is as if I get to the haunted house, of course. Now this is the haunted house. That was stupid. Get out of the way of that because it does kill it. Falls from the ceiling. If you're underneath it, it will kill it. Yeah, do the slide. So that's the haunted house, guys. There is different ways to go through this game as well. Now this game starts to split up. There's a lot of you can go down below the floors and stuff, which can be easier or harder depending on basically where you are. On this level as well, you want to keep these shotguns. Like I'll show you what I mean. Basically, if you jump across these, you're fine, but if you get hit by one of these, it'll drag you underneath. Sometimes, well, most of the time they're harder, to be honest. Like, so you've got another water level now. This makes it interesting, so you can work different ways through the game. So, what to do, guys, I think I'll call it a day. This video's probably long enough as it is. Like I said before, I can't do a lot of short videos. Don't know why. I'm glad YouTube put it up past 15 minutes, because I'd have no chance in 15 minutes. But anyway, guys, that's Splatterhouse, and that's my top 10 games on the PC Engine. They say these are pretty much the games I keep coming back and playing. And I really love them. Like I said, there is other games that you might like better, but these 10 are pretty fantastic, and games I've always kept coming back to, or kept buying in the past. Just flogging it and end up buying it again. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed some of these games. If you haven't tried any of them, or some of them, try them out on the PC Engine, give them a go, or try them out on an emulator or something. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra!